Day 10 of the boot camp. Can you believe that, bro? 10 days. Officially 10 days. I know I'm going to be hype about that, bro. I got chill, but it's crazy. 10 days. So as you guys can tell by the title of the video, we're going to be taking care of sound structure. La estructura de un canción. I don't know if I said that right. I'm pretty sure I got it like at least 75% right. You know, I'm a little bit like a no sabo kid. But anyways, that's beside the point. The point is this. Song structure. Now, as you guys can tell by my screen, there's a whole lot of jargon, tarpin stuff going on. And you might be saying, I had no idea. Let's just start something simple with the beat. I feel like this is the best way to break it down before I get down here to more complicated stuff. So, in a good song structure, you have different sections, right? A lot of you guys already know that. If you guys listen to songs, you hear like, you know, maybe like an intro, right? There's like the little beginning part of the song. Then you have like the catchy part of the song. Then you have like the more lyric part, the part where most likely people don't really remember unless you're a hardcore fan. And then maybe there's like a break in the middle sometimes, but then sometimes it goes back to the catchy part instead. And then, you know, the other part of the lyrics again, and then the catchy part. If that was too much already, don't worry, I got you. So let's just start with bars and sections. So here's one bar right here, right? And as you guys can tell, there's like a little one right here. If we're gonna take up 2 bars, it's just letting you know, hey, this is the beginning of the 2 bar. And you have the 3 bars, all right? I think this should be the easiest part to understand. 4 bars. Then if we notice really carefully, which I'm gonna move out the way, if we look at this little section right here, 4, 5, and 6, some reason the 5 it's a tad bit bigger, just a little bit. So does the 9 and the 13, and we go back to number 1. It's a little bit bigger. So that lets you know every basically section. Here's a section, here's a section. Now when it comes to music, there's many ways you can structure your song. That's like a house. Not every house is the same. It might look the same, but they're not. So to not confuse you guys. So what I want you guys to know is most of the time, people go by 4 bars or 8 bars. All right, so we play this. All right, see how it loops 4 bars. Boom, repeats again. Now we go 8 bars instead. It'd be kind of much the same thing, except it's something that's different on the second path, right? And here as well. But they pretty much sound the same. Alright, so that's a section. I would say consider this a section. For this song that I've made, this is like my little intro section, you could say. Then, let's move on to the next 4 bars, which is 9, 10, 11, and 12. These are 4 numbers in there. That's how you know it's 4 bars. So let's play this. So here you go. You guys can tell again. It loops. Whether we extend it to the next 4 bars. This is 8 bars right here. Like I said, they pretty much sound the same. There might be a slight variation, but most likely not that much, which is fine. Let's move on to the next. Let's go 8 bars this time. The next 8 bars. So here's one, and here's the other. Here's 8 bars. This is how you know. Consider it the beginning. This is the starting. The next big number, you see right here, is 21. 21 is 4 bars, and the next one, 25. There you go. This is a section right here, 8 bars. Sounds pretty much the same to me. Alright, so let's just do this for sake. Let's play from the very beginning. Now this is 16 bar. That might be a lot to understand. Just remember, every number is a bar. That, you know, so this is the nice bar. It goes into 10, 11, 12, 13. Not music theory, just letting you know the time, alright? If we count how many numbers are in here, there's 16 numbers. And that's 16 bars. That's all you gotta know. So there you go. That's the entire 16 bar. Now, if you notice, with the first 8 bars and the next 8 bars, they sound pretty much the same. This is just the way I structured my song. For this is like a section, you could say. Then we'll move on to the next section. Let's start with 4 bars again. Now, the reason there's a pause there, I know that's weird, but it works with the voice. So let me play this 8 bar right here. Now, if we compare it to, let's say, the 4 bar prior to this section and the 4 bar of this section, you're going to hear there's a difference. There's a lot more sound going on the previous section. There's like less sound on this section. So you notice there is a change between my section here and then the section here. Alright? So for me, you just say, let's break this down. First section was my intro. Then for my song, the next section are here, 16 bars. So you got 8 bars, 16 bars. And let's see how many bars here until we get a new section. So let's see. Here's a new section right here. 2 bars, 3 bars, 4 bars, 5 bars, 6 bars, 7 bars, 8 bars. Then it repeats to a new bar, new section. So here is a new section. Alright. Okay, so we have 8 bars, 16 bars, 8 bar, and I'm sure we're gonna have another 16 bar right here. So no, we do not have a 16 bar. So now you're gonna be confused and be like, what the ligma? I thought you said this is 16 bars. Then we had like 8 bars. We had like 8 bars. Now we have an 8 bar again. Sound variation. And then we have another 8 bar. And then I believe it repeats here. Now, sounds come in and go for adding variation. So with just beat alone, this is a little bit confusing. All I want you guys to know is mainly for this song, we have an intro. We have the part where it's like the main first part. Then we have like a little thing going on here. But in reality, it's actually this section here. Another 16 bars, 8, 16, and then another 16, and an outro. And now a good way to find out whether what I'm saying is true, normally you would do that with hearing the vocals. So let's play the entirety of the song, and I'll break it down even better. You probably are confused a little bit right now. Hopefully, with the voices and the lyrics, I'll be able to break it down a little bit more.
Because I want to be great.
And you're not.
I want to be one of the greats.
And I would stop
So
and
this
look at
part right
that.
here is the intro.
Yeah.
One section right here. You still have that same energy, that same vibe. And do a little breakdown here. section. You don't make me feel bad, doing nothing too fast. I don't wanna do that. Can you get my topic? Can I get my shit? Cause you already know that you ain't did that.
And when I get to you, you treat me like shit because I'm just some girl who doesn't know what she wants. And you have a path, and you're going to be crazy.
And I have this part muted. Let me unmute it real quick.
You have a path, and you're going to be crazy.
So we had that same section from here earlier. And because it's like the ending part of the song, basically, I decided to change it a little bit here. There's nothing there, basically, just something there. Dummy and the sound, you could say.
It's not you.
Goodbye.
Alright, and you said there's like a little outro at the end. So I'll just pause it here. And as you can tell, it might be a little bit confusing, but hopefully I was able to give you guys a little bit of insight on how that works. So let me break it down one more time. So obviously we had the little intro with the little
Cause I
dialogue,
wanna be great.
thunderstorm going on.
I wanna be one of the greats.
And I would stop
Then it goes into the next 4 bars, 8, 12, 16. So this is the 16 bar. Now watch. I started from here. Really had the intro. The intro is like the easiest part. Here are the 16 bars. If I let it play all the way to loop, you'll see I can have this kind of looping like this for a long time. Watch. Basically the catchy part. The part that a lot of people are gonna be singing. And remember, mainly this verse 8 right here. So look, if I play this first half right here, this 8, this is the catchy part that's gonna be everybody say. Alright, so what I could have did if I wanted to, this first half here, I could have saved time. What I could have did was shift click, select these. I could have just selected these and then put them here and have it looping. But instead, I decided to extend a whole new rhythm to add a little bit of variation. So now we have this part. I don't know if I know ya. She would come right back like I told ya. Give me one more chance 'cause I love you. Give me one more chance just to know ya. Hey, I don't know if I know ya. She would come right back like I told ya. Give me one more chance 'cause I love you. Give me one more chance just to know ya. Hey, I don't know if I know ya. Alright, so that part loops. As you can tell, like I said, that's like the first part. Then we go into the next part. And the way I structured my song is normally by 8. I go by 8. Because when you make a loop or beat, which is kind of getting a little bit complicated, but let me just show you here. You can either go by like this, 4, or you can go by 8. Most of the time, for a full like section, is 8. But then, you obviously to make like an obvious normally people, because if you just rap on this part, you're not gonna have enough time to like, you could switch, okay, basically, you could switch every 8, but the reason you don't do that is to give the song more time to, you know, flow. You do it like this. You duplicate whatever was here, 16, and then you get a new section, and then again, so on and so forth. Now, not every section has to be 16 bars. Some of them can be only 8 bars. Some of them can actually be only 4 bars, depending on how you want to structure. But what I want you guys to really remember is most people, they stick to 8 bars, or you might see some producers, if you're watching how to make beats, some of them only do it by 4, and then they duplicate whatever is on the floor in 8. And because their original loop section is like smaller, they have to switch by obligation every 8. That way the song doesn't stay repetitive. Now because of the way I make my song, remember in the beginning, the first 4 and the second 4 bars was a little bit different. So let me just play it again so you guys can hear it. I have it in the intro here. If you listen to it. And you hear it right on this part. You hear that? Like this part right here? You don't have that here. And then, you know what I'm talking about? Right here. That little variation makes this second 4 a little bit different. And also there's subtle little nuances, that little things that makes the second 4 bars different from the first 4 bars. So because I did that, I'm allowed to go loop every 8 section. If the first 4 was literally just the same as the second 4, then to add more variation, I would either have to change it up in my singing or figure something out. That way it's not that repetitive. And that's what a bad structure song, that's what a bad song structure looks like. If it's just the same repetitive thing. Like imagine there was like no intro and it was just this basically throughout the song. Imagine it was just this throughout the whole song. Actually, let's make it even worse. 4 bars only. The whole song like this. Hearing that for 3 minutes straight or 2 minutes straight, and then every time you hear that song, that's another 2-3 minutes straight. Right? That's not what you want. You want little variations, but because between my 8 bars there was smaller variation, it didn't matter if I looped it twice, because not just that, there's the catchy part for one, and then secondly, when the artists come in, they can choose to add a little bit more variation, which is what I did. From here versus so you notice the first 8 here and the second 8 here is a little different. Although the beat, these 2 8s, like 8 bars are the same, when it came to me singing, I added that variation through my lyrics, and because right afterwards, instead of adding another same 8 bars like earlier, I switched it up, had less instruments, my flow's different, and that's what saves it. And when we come back here again, it kind of picks up a little bit. Basically, instead of having the same slow down, like less instrument sound, I add a little bit back. The flows are still a little bit different. Then we have like this little break right here. Can you get my time back? Can I get my shit? Cause you already know that you ain't did that. Now the way that I sang my song allowed me to do all this and add like a smaller break, as you notice here in the 4.
And when I get to you, you treat me like shit because I'm just some girl who doesn't know what she wants. And you have a hat, and you're gonna be cook. And when I get...
Alright, so realistically speaking, if I would have sang the song a little bit differently, the break would have been this whole 8 bar. But because the way I was flowing and allowing things to go, I'm allowed to blend things a little over to the next bar, previous bar, stuff like that. That's how you add flow. Now that's a little bit complicated, and I'm pretty sure some of you guys are still a little bit confused. So I would say rewatch the video how many times you have to. But all I want you guys to get out of this is most songs. They go by 8 bars because the first 4 bars are going to be a little bit different than the second 4 bars. If it is, that's good. Does that mean the next 8 bars can either be the same as the previous bar or a completely new one? If it's a completely new one, they are allowed to add that same 8 bar again. Think of it like this. First 8 bar, we got that one established. I could have that same 8 bar again for a second time. So let me do this. Let me see if I can show you guys. I really want to make sure you guys get this down. Here's my 8 bars. I could have my next bar like this, and then grab another 8 bar, do it like this, and then if I really, really wanted to and got hella lazy, my song can literally be like this. Alright, this again, and then alright, if I wanted to, and then this part again. Alright, it could be like that, but I'll be honest, like, we would say, oh, did the song repeat again? Like from the very beginning? Obviously the lyrics might be different, so let's do that. Let's see. Let's put my actual lyrics with what I have here. And you'll see it still works, except maybe obviously it won't sound as good as this one, but it's still not a bad song. Let's hear it.
Because I want to be great.
And you're not.
I want to be one of the greats.
And I would stop you from doing that.
Yeah.
Too bad, girl, I know you mad. Too bad, I know your friends. Too bad, I see your bed. Too bad, too bad. I don't know if I know you. See where I come.
Alright, this works. It has a whole different vibe, but it still works. I'm gonna play it all the way so you guys can do it. But it works.
You don't understand, you don't want to do perfect. Tables been turning, you don't make me feel bad. Doing nothing too fast, I don't wanna do that. Can you get my time back? Can I get my shit? Cause you already know that you ain't did that.
And when I can see you treating like shit because I'm just some girl who doesn't know what she wants, and you have a path, and you're going to be great.
Alright, it works. I know you're mad, too bad, I know your friends, too bad, I see your bed, too bad,
And I'm going to be forgotten, and therefore,
And there you go.
go.
Let me just pause it here because we already got that. So basically, this wasn't that bad. Now, obviously, if my song was like this, I would have most likely sang my song a little bit differently. That way, some part can actually make sense. Because I feel like this part right here, I was still a little bit too hyped when the beat is a little bit down. You know what I'm saying? Like slower, less instrument. So I would have sang it like that. But as you can tell, it was okay. I'll be honest, it's not a bad song structure, but it could be better. So if your song like that, it's not bad. I'll be honest, there's a lot of rap songs that literally just even do this. Like, instead of the way I did it, some of them literally just do this. Where like, it's just up and then a down, up and then a down. So let's see what that would sound like if we did it like this. So we're gonna the intro,
And I
let's
would
skip a
stop you
little bit.
from doing that.
Yeah.
I know ya. See where I come right back like I told ya. Give me one more chance to cause I love you. Give me one more chance just to know you. I'm trying to move.
Right, some parts work better than others.
What do I do? Girl, I'm nervous. Girl, I'm nervous. Tell it to my crib, girl, that you end it. I give you a bed, better keep in your purse. You don't understand, you don't want cause you're perfect. Tables been turning, chill. You don't make me feel bad, doing nothing too fast. I don't wanna do that, can you get my time back?
Alright, so it works. Like I said, I would have most likely sent you a little bit different, but it works. You see, it's not bad. There's many ways to structure your song. So there isn't no, I would say, no rule, other than if you was to practice, you'll be able to basically have better song structure. Like here, if we play it from here.
I'm trying to move, nothing's working. What do I do? Girl, I'm nervous.
I saw there was a pause, there was a stop. It had a little bit of variation to my rhythm. And because I did that, it kind of does like this weird restart, you say the bar, which is why when I started here, you say, this is my 8 bar, and then this is my 8 bar, all right? And that's why, because I did that stop, it kind of prompted like this restart thing going on. And that's why when it came to this part, if I kept going, it would have been like a weird extra bar, which is why it works perfect as a break for.
And when I get to you, you treat me like shit because I'm just some girl who doesn't know what she wants. And you have a hat, and you're going to be crazy.
A little bit of, break. So you see that little pause here. If I didn't do that pause, my flow probably would have been different. I wouldn't have done this weird, I'm going to say weird, but like this unique special break. And the rest of the song here probably would have been different as well. But to add variation to make sure the song stays new every kind of section, this is what you do. So remember, if I muted this, if I solo this, you have it like this, you guys can hear it. Alright, that pause sounds weird, but as you get used to like learning how to chop for your song, even if you didn't make the beat, I chopped it here afterwards. And when I originally made the beat, there was no chop, like it was just like this.
What do I do? Girl, I'm nervous. Girl, I'm nervous.
Right, it still works, but it's a little bit different. It has a little different vibe versus.
What do I do? Girl, I'm nervous.
Right? It has like a different vibe, like, what do I do? It's like the song stop, like you're kind of panicking versus leaving it playing. So let me play it. This is like a little bit advanced, but let me just show you one more time.
I'm trying to move,
And nothing's working.
what do I do? Girl, I'm nervous.
Right, versus.
I'm trying to move, nothing's working. What do I do? Girl, I'm nervous.
Right? There's no like break, no nothing. So you see, with those little techniques and little sounds, basically, even if I didn't switch up my sound there, by removing it, it basically added that little extra switch like I did with the first other bars and whatnot. So, one more time, just so you guys can take this out of the video. Bars are every number that you see. This is a bar, this is another bar, this is another bar, and another bar. I know you think once you get here, it means you did 5 bars. No, that was a little bit confusing to me in the beginning, but it means you're starting. This is where it starts, because you know it's not at the end of it. When your battery's full and you're at the end of it, you say that's 100. All right, you think that's how it should be, that's how it should be, but no. In music, it's not like that. So, all to make it easier, it says this is 1 bar. When it says here, you're doing 2 bars. There's 3 bars in here. 4 bars can fit in here. 5 bars can fit in here. Think of it like that. And I know you'll be saying, what if I did it like this? If you didn't go all the way to the number that's right here, you cannot fit 5 bars. You can fit maybe 4 bars and a half, but that's a little bit confusing. All you gotta know, each number is a bar. And most songs, they go by 8 bars for every section. Depending on the way they want to structure their song, they can duplicate that same 8 bars to the next section. If not, they can make it completely different. So, with that being said, let me grab one more example. That way, I can show you guys. So, this is what a beat will look like. Now, I could have did the same song, but I want to show you differently. If I move one of these, you can tell it's a bar. No, it's a section. All right. And the way I did it is, as you can tell, it's 8 bars. So if I play it, and the producer tag, and then that's how the song starts. As you guys can tell, these two are the same, but when we compare it to these two, there's a little bit of difference. And really with this little thing, I add a little bit of variation at the end. Alright? So it makes, with this little sound effect, it makes this second half of this section here feel a little bit different, and it works transitioning into the new sound for these next section here. Pretty much the same, but just a little bit different. And then if we go with here, it's completely different from these sections here. And then we repeat the same thing that was originally here. It's the same thing that's here. So if I were to break this down, you have the intro, you have most likely be the catchy part, the extra, then a little break, the catchy part, second little extra catchy part, the break, and outro. Alright, let's see if I can find one more, but just that's a little bit different. Alright, so my bad with the previous one, but hopefully you were able to see it visually. That's a good way to see if you're making beats, but if not, you know, it's all one waveform, but it kind of gives you a better idea of how producers normally structure their song. So here's one that's a little bit more complicated, but it's a little bit different, but it's pretty much the same principle, and I'll show you. So here's the first 8 bars. And then the song starts right here. And then it changes up here. You see how like this start is different from here? Kind of the same, but it's different. And then, if we go back to this part here, it doesn't look like this one or this one. But it sounds pretty much the same, but it's a little bit different. And then if we go here, it's a whole completely different. And then we have the section here again. Then an outro. So you would say, why is this one completely different than the previous one? So just simply break it down. Essentially, if we hear the 808, the bass, so it kind of lets the artist start a little bit earlier. Plus, with that, since you're able to start earlier, or the song kind of started a little bit earlier, you just say, here is the 4 bar, kind of. It's like you can blend and stretch a little bit. Basically, it's here, you say. But because there's already a lot going on, giving the artist a little bit more earlier start, while still being able to stretch it out and add like an extra bar here. This kind of is the break, and then here's 3. And then here's the last one if the artist wants to continue. So if I open the project file of my song, the one that I recorded on my beat right here, you'll see the way I structured it. So let's hear it. And not even at the 4 bar, at the 4 bar, I start singing at the 3rd bar. Beginning of the 3rd bar. And then here it starts, right at the 9th bar. Another brand new section here. Another section here. Right? Right here. And then it restarts. Now, as you can tell, it restarts. So let's break this down. Last one. So basically, here's a little intro. I started making noises around here at the 3rd bar, but song actually starts at the 9th bar. So if you go here, boom, that's like the whole section here. Remember the 16 bar that we talked about? It's most likely not even 16 actually. Wait. All right, so we had the 4, 8. So as you can tell, for here, it's actually different. We went 12 bars, and then we went another 12 bars, and then there's a break right here. So you can see, it doesn't exactly hold true always, but that's because, let's get started, because the way we started the song a little bit shifted over the beginning, like right here. So remember what I talked about? Normally there was like 8, and then another double of the 8, and another 8, and another 8, and then like a break. Here, we ignored all that rules, and we just said 8 bar. 8 bar. You know what? This 8 bar would be kind of similar. Then the next 8 bar would be different. Then this 8 bar would be different. And then because this 8 bar is different, let's bring it back to something familiar. The first to 8 bar, the catchy part. Then here's the 8 bar. Let's just end the song because it's literally at the end. Boom. Alright, so with that being said, there's many ways to structure your song. Let me just say this one last time because I know I throw a lot at you guys and I try not to, but want to make sure you guys get this drilled into your head. Make sure you guys are taking notes, by the way. I probably should have said that on day 1 with the boot camp. So if you don't have a journal or something, I suggest you guys start, maybe rewatch the boot camp, get a journal, write down some things down. That way you guys can, look back at your notes. If not, then I would say write down what you already remember. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comment section. But this is what I want you to put in your notes, basically. Each number represents a bar. If you don't have this in your DAW, you probably have a like here beat. So you see there's 1 beat. I know it's 1, but it's one little step. Then boom. Next bar, next bar, next bar. Another beat right there. So if you don't have that, most likely you're able to click here. So you see it says beat, step, and tick. You have minute, second, and centiseconds, and a whole lot of other things. I'll be honest, I never use it. So normally I just look at minute and seconds. That way I can know how long my song is. But most likely you guys have something. Right click on it. Most likely there's like a little setting on there, or in your options, whatever DAW you're using, you probably have something like that. And that's how you're able to tell. It's a boom, 4 bars. Like I said, that's a section in my opinion. But most people, they go by 8 bars. Like you saw when I made my own beats, I normally went 8. But sometimes when you make a beat, you just loop whatever was on the first 4 into the 8. And depending with the drums, you can switch it up. There's many ways to add variation, either in your melodies, in your drums, slight little different. Because as you can tell, if we listen to this all part here, it sounds pretty much the same. But remember when we were looking at the beat, the way I made it, the only thing that was changing was maybe like some background noises, a little bit of the drums that was changing a little bit. You won't exactly hear it, but you'll feel it. And especially with the beat and everything, especially when you're making music, you can feel there's like a change going on. So you start singing a little bit different or a new flow. So remember, 8 is normally a section. Remember they go by another 8, and they can choose if they want to duplicate that same 8 or a brand new 8 section. So basically, make sure you have sections, and the sections feel different enough where it doesn't feel overly repetitive and the same. But also, I would say don't go completely crazy, because I feel like all you guys are hearing right now is new section, new section, new section. No, remember, we went back to some of the other section. And also, because, there was a down here, a mini down, but going up, and the beat drops is basically all the way up. Then there's like the little changes going on, instruments going in and out, adds that little bit of downs and ups. And then we have a complete down before the beat drops again, and so on and so forth. That's how you keep the audience hype, kind of like a roller coaster. You don't want always straight down and then straight up and then straight down, right? That's a little bit boring. Imagine like you're waiting there for a long time on a roller coaster, and then it feels nice when you're going down, but imagine you're just going straight down for a long time. A little boring. Versus a little up, and you're like, whoa, and jump back down a little bit, and a little, whoa, down. All right, then you go, oh, that's the big one. Pause. And straight down. And then, all those little ways and whatnot. So, with that being said, homework. You guys actually have homework today. Like I said, you guys were going to have homework today. Practice analyzing sections of song. Whatever song you listen to already. Think, okay, this is a section. And even if they switch to flow, say, okay, remember, I would say there's rules, but there's no rules when it comes to music as well. So it's kind of weird this way. If bro switches the flow let's say this is the bar right here, and then the next he has a new flow. Okay, compare these first two flows with the next two flows. Okay, if they sound like they work, okay, compare these 4 different flows with the next 4 different flows, and so on and so forth. And like that, you're going to be able to recognize, okay, this is a section, this is a section. Better yet, I think in Genius, you guys go to genius.com, is that where you can find lyrics. They have normally sometimes they have the intro section, the hook, the chorus. I would say the main reason I didn't get into what those words mean is because I feel like at the end of the day, it'll just confuse you even more. But if you do want to learn about that, let me know in the comment section below. I would say, my opinion, I'm most likely not going to teach you guys whether it's a hook, a chorus, or not, because that's just confusing. I'd rather use words like, this is the catchy part, this is the second catchy part that a lot of people might know if they're a die-hard fan, and then there's the break right here, where maybe you can come back into the catchy parts and maybe figure out how to do that, blah, blah, blah. Which we'll get that into the flow episode, which I think is after the psychology one, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah. With that being said, there's no limits to what you can do. Locked in. I'm going to catch you guys tomorrow. Remember, homework. Make sure you do it. Analyze. Catch you guys tomorrow.